guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and we're all having a little bonfire, a little fireside dinner this evening, and I was thinking about some of the questions that my subscribers have asked me, and there's been quite a few subscribers that have asked me to do a video on what I think channeling is, if I could do an explanation of that, or even talking about how I channel. So if you guys want to come over with me to the fire, let's get cozy, and I'm going to have James just ask me a few interview questions for you guys, and let's talk a little bit about channeling.
All right, Tara, is that hot enough for you? I got this thing raging.
Yeah, this is nice and toasty.
Okay, we're running out of wood. We're just burning through it, so to speak.
Don't even need a blankie.
All right, are we ready for your interview?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you questions, and you answer as naturally as you want.
Okay.
My first question is, what makes you think you're psychic?
Well, the fact that when I receive my downloads and I'm connecting to whatever it is I'm connecting to, it always seems to resonate with the other person, and that there's synchronicities and things that I couldn't know unless they would have told me beforehand. And it happens over and over and over again. And whenever there's like something we're looking into of like probabilities, it's like my higher self doesn't seem to be wrong ever. Me as a human, I'm fallible, but my higher self doesn't seem to be. So,
Right. So maybe your interpretation has been wrong before.
My interpretations, I think, could be wrong, yes.
Yeah.
But the messages coming through, they're always spot on, whether for myself or somebody else. So, I feel
for the
fortunate.
layperson, can you explain what psychic ability is, just to someone who doesn't have any clue?
Yeah, it's
just briefly.
It's a connection to your soul, your spirit, your higher self, I like to call it. And doing that, you are able to see beyond our 3D world and receive knowledge that's beyond our 3D world that can help you in the 3D world. So it's not some mystical, magical stuff, rainbows that come out of the sky, but you're using your own energy to tap into the energy that is unseen, that is already there, in order to receive messages for helping.
And only some people can do this?
No, everybody can. If everybody has a soul, then everybody has energy, and everybody can tap into energy.
What if not everyone has a soul?
Well, then I suppose it would be difficult for them.
Okay. So most people, when you say that you channel, have a blank look on their face. Have no idea what channeling is. So what is channeling, and how does it relate to your psychic ability?
Okay, so channeling is kind of like when you turn the TV dial to a channel. You're receiving a particular broadcast from a particular station. There's no interference from anything else. There's no other, TV stations trying to come through. It's clear, and it can be direct. So when I'm channeling, I'm directly connected to a particular situation or entity, and there's nothing else that's coming in except that thing. It's like having a sit down with, I don't know, like someone else, and you're just having them talk to you. And I could interpret what they're saying, just relay the information, or it can be direct, where that person is not sitting across from me, but they're literally sitting in me, and now they're speaking, which I would consider direct channeling.
So you let entities take over your body?
Well, that sounds kind of weird, but sometimes. But I always feel like I have control of what's going on, because we are sovereign beings, and I don't fear these other entities. They don't have any control.
Oh no,
over
it
me,
spilled.
Hold on. So
I'll get it.
If I want to allow something in, I will. If something's trying to get in and I don't want them, I have the power to not let it in. So.
Oh, look at our cauldron.
Oh, wow. You guys can't see it,
I'll
but
show
my
him.
little cauldron's on fire.
I'll show him. Hold on. Let me show him. Interview is still on.
Still on.
Just a timeout.
Here we go. By the way, there's a bunch of pinyon pine resin in there. Our resin, which is like 700 years old. We're not like blowing through it or anything, but on special occasions, like tonight, we're burning a little bit of resin. And it lasts a long time. So, like, one little piece can last several campfires. So, that's a good thing.
Okay, two-part question. How do you know that you're connecting to what you think you're connecting to? And what do you do about these evil entities?
Okay, so this is something that I've had to work on, and I'm still continually working on it for years. So sometimes when I was first kind of like, oh wow, this is a whole new world, all these energies, and I can talk to whatever I want, and I could talk to my grandma. Sometimes, I would be presented, like, let's use my grandma for an example, my grandma's energy, and I'm like, oh wow, it's grandma. There's a little niggle in my stomach that says, like, I feel a little scared or a little weird, and it doesn't correlate with my brain because I'm like, but it's just my grandmother, why would I be scared? But something is like, that's not grandma. As I started doing this work more, I realized that there were trickster energies out there that could pretend to be loved ones, and their messages aren't so love and light. Because spirits coming through, that come through, especially like loved ones, they're never coming through with fear-based energy because they come from the frequency of love. So everything they exude is love, and so I'm always tapping into that frequency. And I have my own personal little, it happens energetically and everything, but I ask them a bunch of questions. I make them perform a bunch of things, so I'm not jumping into asking them questions right away. And a lot of trickster energies I have found hate waiting. So they want to right away, like, give me a bunch of false messages. So it's like they can't hold it together. So to be like grandma, but she can't hold it together. It's like her, like, form falls apart and this like nasty looking thing pops out, and it tries to regain my grandmother's form, and it's like, so I'm like, okay, no, I'm just gonna wait until actually my grandma shows up, because you're not my grandma.
So this obviously takes practice and experience.
Yes, and my same techniques that I use, they constantly have to evolve because I'm evolving, and so are the energies around me. So what worked for me last year doesn't really work for me this year, and I have to keep figuring out different ways to verify that what I'm talking to is the legit thing.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
So how did you get here? What, like, habits you walked? You flew in?
I flew in.
But how did you get to this point to be able to do this? I mean, what were your daily habits, your rituals, your lifestyle choices?
Okay, first and foremost, I had to really get to know the voice of my intuition versus the voice of my ego. Without that, I can't do any of this stuff. It doesn't matter.
Let's crank this up.
What else I do. It's I could be tricked so easily. I could be easily just listening to my own ego and whatever. And
your ego?
My ego.
my,
my ego.
Is that what you named your
my ego?
Your ego? Whoa.
So, and I had to develop a confidence in my intuition, because my confidence used to just lie in my ego. Where it's
your
the
waffles.
thing, yeah, my ego waffle. It's the one that would be the one that leads me all the time. And since my intuition was always kind of in the background, like, hey, its voice wasn't so loud, and so I would shut it down a lot. But I got to a point where it seemed like, you know what, if I would have just trusted my intuition, I would have done better in this situation. It's like, wow, my intuition's pretty on point. Maybe I should listen to it more. So I started giving it more of a voice. And the more I did, the voice got louder. And pretty soon it drowned out my ego. And then I was like, okay, now I want to do something even more than just helping myself. I want to help others too. And so then came tons more meditation, because I had already started meditating at some point. Then, came working on, again, making that clear connection, between my ego and my higher self. I don't know, just tons of other practices and things kind of happened along the way.
Okay. What would you say to the people who would call what you're doing demonic or against the church or whatever they would say?
Well, my thing is, I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. Um, to me, that's a very ego-based thing to do. To say what I'm doing is so awesome and so cool. It's way better than what you're doing or what you believe in. So I'm going to try to prove it to you.
Uh,
Um, you know, I always encourage people to use their own intuition and without your ego tapped into the messages that are coming through me. If you feel they don't resonate with you, then they don't resonate with you. There's no convincing from me. If they do, then excellent. But I do feel that if people who run around thinking that everything they don't understand is a demon must be coming from a fear base.
right.
In which case, I implore those people to go inwards and figure out where that fear is actually coming from.
So with the channeling series, how do you come up with who or what to channel?
Well, it's a mixture. Some of the suggestions come from subscribers, you guys, saying, could you channel these questions or this being? And I have these questions. But James and I also come up with things together. You know, we think of people, you know, to channel. We think of people who've passed away to channel. We think of situations to channel. Anything where we feel we don't have any clear answers in the 3D sense. If we want to get something deeper, going past the surface, let's channel that so that we can get a clear picture of things. So it could be anything,
Mhm.
but mostly we're coming up with questions, and then the entities or entity that is best equipped to answer that question will come through instead of saying, oh, let's just channel the Arcturians or whatever.
Okay. Besides the tricksters, do you ever have trouble connecting to energy, or does it ever not come through for you?
Yes, but I have found that when we're wanting to do a particular channeling, um, it's what I'm drawn to is because that's the energy that actually wants to speak. If I try to force something, it's blank. It's like because I'm thinking with my ego what to channel instead of my intuition what to channel. So yeah. So there will be times where I can't channel because I'm merely like, oh, I just want to channel Abraham Lincoln just cause, you know. But Abraham Lincoln isn't wanting to hang out with me, so
He's got speeches to write
he's
and
got speeches to
plays to
write,
watch. He
man.
never
He's
got to
got
finish that one play,
yeah, that sucks.
so he's probably up there just watching.
He's probably just watching it right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, last couple questions. How do you know you're not making it all up?
Well, that's something, like I said, I struggled with, especially at the very beginning. Even before I started, actually, I couldn't start reading tarot professionally until I got over that. And I even then I wasn't completely over that because I kept thinking, what if it's just like a coincidence that I seem to always be on par and on point with what this person is asking me, and I always seem that, you know, the cards always just seem to know, or, you know, my intuition always just seems to know. And for a while it was like, maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe it's just a coincidence. And actually there was one particular situation where my friend Charmaine, she was my voice teacher, for opera and stuff like that, and she had come over to the house and we were just hanging out, and all of a sudden while we're chatting, I could swear I feel and see in my mind's eye the energy of a man standing next to her. And he's like laughing, and I can describe him in detail. And then I see like a picture of this man holding a little girl, and I can describe the picture in detail. And so I was ignoring it until it just kept staying there, and it stayed there. And I didn't want to freak out my friend, but I was like, hey, don't want to freak you out, but and I kind of felt stupid too, because I was like, what if you're wrong and now your friend thinks you're a loony bar,
Right.
you know? But I was like, you know what, my friend wouldn't judge me that way because she's my friend. So I told her what I saw, and she says, are you serious? Describe exactly what he's wearing. I described it, And I described the photograph I saw, and she says, I just looked at that photograph last night.
Whoa.
That's me and my grandfather holding me, and the man you're describing is my grandfather, and that big German laugh that you're listening to is his highly recognizable big German laugh. And so she started crying. She was like, oh my gosh. She's like, girl, you need to start believing that you have a gift. And she says, stop second guessing yourself, because it's not helping anybody.
Well, I hate to say it's a gift when we all have it.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, she was,
Right,
that's how she said it.
right,
But,
okay.
and then I was like, maybe. Okay. So I went with it.
Let's crank this up a notch. So in addition to the channeling videos we do for YouTube, your services are for hire, yes?
Yes, actually. If you guys head over to my website, kittensweightsandtarot.com, I have a lot of different reading styles, because I know that there's different comfort levels of how people like to receive their messages. Not everybody wants to hear the words of their grandfather spoken through some girl, you know?
Sure.
So that's kind of freaky to some people. So not everybody's going to like a direct channeling, which I do offer. Some people just want to sling some cards, want me to do that. So I have tarot readings. Some people are into crystals, so I do crystal scrying sessions for them. I grew up by the beach, and I grew up reading seashells, so I also have conchomancy readings. And so there's my little mermaid friends out there that gravitate towards those readings. So there's a lot of different types of readings for everyone, and I'm always very curious about different ways in which I could tap into my intuition. So I've learned a lot of different modalities, and I practice them all almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I'm walking around this property with like a bag of
Every
runes
day.
and a deck of cards and some crystals and, you know, everything. So yeah, I'm always practicing too.
In the end, it's just different ways of you accessing your psychic powers to talk to your higher self.
Yeah, it's my permission slip to talk to my higher self. And to be honest, I find that nowadays it's easier for me just to channel instead of pulling out my cards. I love my cards, don't get me wrong, and I still love doing my tarot readings and everything. It's just, to me now, it slows me down because the messages come in so fast when I'm connecting. But like I said, we're always changing and evolving, and so is the way I connect. So
Okay, before I crank this up a notch.
oh,
That's all my questions. Do you have any last things you want to say about channeling in general, or channeling specifically? Oh, here we go.
well, since I've only been wow, that's some good stuff, you guys. Since
So cold.
channeling is only something I've given mostly my full attention to for like a year or less, I would say.
Yeah.
I am still curious to know all the other different ways people channel, because I didn't even know it was called channeling. I was just doing it, and I didn't know what you call that. Like, what is this that I'm doing? And I'm not using my cards. This is weird. And I'm trying to look up on the internet, and I don't know how to describe it. So if you guys have, I don't know, people that you know, that you watch or that you read about, that you absolutely love, who do channeling type stuff, like some people call it, what was it, like hypnotic channeling and direct channeling and all these different things. I'm curious. I want to learn. I still want to learn. You know, I'm not an expert. I'm still evolving. So yeah, send them my way. Send me the links.
All right, great interview. There was no crying, so that was a success, I think.
It's always good when you don't leave in a ball of tears.
Now I'm going to make your eyes water. Here we go. Okay, we're going to say goodbye, I guess. That's the end of the interview. I hope you guys learned a bunch about channeling. Hope the camera doesn't catch on fire.
I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with at our little fireside chat. All right, guys. I will catch you later. Peace, love, and chicken grease.
Ciao.
Peace out.